Hello and welcome to World Forge AI, where we bring imagination to life using the power of AI. And we're going to be using Gemini Advanced for this particular video. And today we're going to be creating our own species or race of monster for what we're going to be creating in a novel series. So let's dive straight in. So before we start actually designing the race ourselves, let's talk about what makes a monster race unique and interesting. Things like physical characteristics, their culture, their abilities. And we'll be using Gemini Advanced to actually help brainstorm and refine our ideas. And these tools can generate creative and detailed descriptions based on the prompts that we give them. Now, depending on how basic or complex those prompts are, will make it more creative to your idea. But for the purposes of the video, we'll be doing the basic, and I will be doing more videos in the future that will be more advanced, more complex into creating races that will make sense in your world. But this particular video is just about creating a race in general. So first of all, when we're creating a monster, we're going to look at the physical characteristics. Now, this is going to be very basic. This is going to be not your most advanced and complex prompts that we're going to be using. There are other prompts that I'll describe in other videos if you already have a base for your world. If you have the setting, you have the continent, you have everything, the tone of the book or the novel or novella or the anime, manga or game. We're going to be doing this very basic, as if you didn't have any idea and you just wanted to create a race of monster, maybe for some tabletop stuff that you're doing or a game that you're creating. So the first prompt we're going to be using, I already have ready over here. I've got all the prompts ready, and I will be putting those prompts in the description, and there will be timestamps in the video for you to jump to whatever part that you want to jump to. So for the first prompt, we're going to be writing in, imagine a monstrous race that strikes fear at first sight. Describe their size, shape, skin texture, and any unique physical features like eyes, limbs, or defensive attributes. Now, please do this in a text format and have clear section titles so it's easier for us to read and decide what we like and what we don't like. So it's come up with a race of monster called the Gloomlings, and their Gloomlings stand roughly 8 feet tall, their hunched posture and long limbs making them appear more imposing. Their bodies are surprisingly thin and wiry, yet possess a deceptive strength. Their movement are swift and unpredictable, adding to their terrifying presence. It's added skin textures, we have eyes and limbs, and defensive attributes. So the eyes and limbs, which are large and bulbous, completely devoid of pupils or irises, and they are pure luminescent white, seems to glow with an eerie intensity. In defensive attributes, it has tough skin, and when they're attacked and are needed to defend, they'll release a thick cloud of darkness. Now, this is actually quite interesting to me. It's one of the more interesting ones that's actually popped out for me, so I'm quite happy that it did it in this video. And this is how you would get a general idea of what the physical characteristics are. Now, you might like certain parts in this, and you tell the actual AI itself, I like this part, I like this part, I don't like this part. Or what will make it easier is if you only write in the things you do not like, it will remember everything else as something that you do like. So it will continue to remember the bits that you haven't specifically said that you do not like. We're not going to do that in this video because I've been making 20-25 minute videos so far, especially with the creating magic with AI. So I'm going to try to make it less of a long form video, but just bear in mind that every time you can write in there that you do not like things that you do not like, and then it will be able to remember that and you can continue on. Now in the next section, we're going to talk about the culture and the societal structure of these monsters. So for this prompt, you're going to want to change the certain part that I'll have down in the description where the name of these are the Gloomlings, or it says detail the culture and societal structure of the Gloomlings. So in the thing here, you'd put the name of the monster you've decided, include their social hierarchy, key customs, and any significant rituals or traditions that they follow. And then it's going to come up with the social hierarchy. It's going to tell you exactly what's in there. And again, you're going to want to go through all of this. You're going to want to make sure that it fits to your vision and not just allow the AI to create random generated things. It has to be your vision, at least in my opinion. You can do anything you want and just get it to create anything that you want. Say for instance, you're doing a D&D campaign, Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and you want to just create random monsters in there, but you want to create a different type of monster using the same stats as a monster like an ogre or a goblin or something like that, but it's got slight variations, so the physical features in that can be different to make a more different feel in your campaign. So it's come up with the social hierarchy, the key customs. The Gloomlings culture is deeply rooted in their reverence for darkness. They believe that darkness is the source of their power. It's come up with significant rituals. The Gloomlings also have a tradition of performing ritualistic hunts. These hunts are not only a means of obtaining food, but also a way for them to test their skills and demonstrate their prowess. It's going to add a lot of things in here. And again, as always, read through this. Say the things that you do not like. Type down here, I do not like so, and just fill in what you want in there, and it will be able to get rid of that. And then when you summarize it all at the end, it will have those parts that you do not want in there not in the summary at the end. And next up, we're going to be talking about the abilities and powers. And what we're going to write in here is outline the unique abilities and powers of the Gloomlings, describe their strengths, their weaknesses, and any special skills or magical powers they possess. Now, if you've already got somewhat of a world already built and you've already got somewhat of a setting and a tone and everything in there, you're going to want to add this information to this. This is a basic prompt for if you're brainstorming ideas for the monster race that you want to create. You can get as detailed as you want in these prompts. You can add in there that I would like to have their magic based around the shadows. I would like to have their movement based around their physical features, etc., etc. So all of these things you can put in there, and you can put it in a bulletproof format. You can write it into a Google document and then put that into the actual chat itself. And the more information that you put into the actual prompt itself, the more creative and original the idea that the AI will bring out will be. So once we put that in there, it's going to come up the ability and powers. So its strength, it has darkness manipulation, it has enhanced senses, physical resilience, its weaknesses, vulnerability to light, limited magic, social structure, their strict hierarchical society while providing order, can also be a weakness. They've got shadow constructs in the special skills. They've got shadow step. They can seamlessly merge with the shadows. I love this ability personally. Anything with shadow magic, shadow step is a go-to for me. I love the idea of that. And shadow sight, it allows them to see clearly in absolute darkness as if it were daylight. Another thing that I really like about that. It's actually really coming out with a lot of really nice ideas, at least for the type of monster that it started creating in the beginning. I'm really actually happy with the results that are coming out. There's not many things I would take away. So overall, the Gloomlings are powerful and formidable creatures. Their mastery of darkness making them a force to be reckoned with. However, they are not invincible, and their weaknesses can be exploited by those who understand their nature. And it's coming out with all these ideas. Again, every time we go through this, tweak it to your vision. If you have an idea that might be better than what the AI has given you, tell it that that would be a better idea and you want to swap it out for when we summarize at the end. Now, the next part we're going to be talking is about the habitat of where the Gloomlings could come from. So the next prompt we're going to put in is describe the ideal habitat for a race of the Gloomling. Consider their climate, terrain, flora, and fauna that make up their environment, and explain how these elements influence their behavior and evolution. So what is coming up with is the climate, the terrain, the flora, the fauna, the influence and behavior and evolution. So if you have a look through what this come out with, is from a land of perpetual twilight, shrouded in a thick canopy of ancient gnarled trees that block out most sunlight. That makes sense with the size of their eyes and the way that they grow. The air is cool and damp with a constant mist that hangs heavy in the air. The temperature rarely fluctuates, maintaining a consistent chill that the Gloomlings find comforting. Its terrain is more rugged and uneven, with steep ravines and hidden caves. That makes sense more for the longer limbs that the Gloomlings have. So it does take into account everything that you've done before, and it adds these things in there. The flora. The flora of the Gloomwood is dominated by towering, dark-barked trees with twisted branches and thick moss-covered leaves. This also helps you to be able to build your continent. Maybe you didn't have the idea of this type of woodland inside of your world, and maybe you would now like to have that in there because of the type of monster that you created here. And now with that also in there, that region, that section of your world could now be used to create other monsters that fit in that area. So you can have a prey predator type thing on what is going to be the prey of these Gloomlings. Are the Gloomlings going to be the prey for something bigger and more predatory? It really helps to open up and broaden the horizons of your ideas. And it's come up with these ideas due to the fact that the influence of their behavior, what we've discussed so far before, their aversion to light has driven them to become creatures of the night. This is why they can see in pure darkness. Their senses and hunting strategies adapted to the darkness with their large eyes, and they'll be able to manipulate shadows and disappear within them so they can ambush their prey. It's really, really helped to fill in the gaps that you wouldn't normally think of, or maybe it would just go past you in that moment in time, something you may think of later, but these will actually bring the ideas in and allow you to incorporate it into everything that you're creating. And now with all the information that it had so far, we're going to talk about explaining how the Gloomling race interacts with other species in their world. Are they predators or allies or competitors? And provide specific examples of their interactions with at least 2 different species. Now it's going to create 2 other species that you'll be able to flesh out later on. And because of the way that the monsters and everything that's been designed so far, the defensive capabilities, their offensive capabilities, the AI has decided that they'll be primarily predators, and they're designed parasite, consisting mainly of creatures that inhabit the gloomwood. Their superior strength, agility, and ability to manipulate shadows make them apex predators in their environment, so they will be the top of the food chain. And they've also added in that there are shadow striders, which will be the ones they interact with, and a race of shadowy humanoids that also dwell in the gloomwood. While they're not direct prey, gloomlings view the shadow striders as competitors for resources and territory. And then they have allies, but they also put in there that it would be unlikely and not possible, while rare gloomlings have been known to form alliances with other species under specific circumstances. For example, they might temporarily cooperate with a group of lumina moths to hunt a larger, more dangerous creature. And now this has added another type of creature. Now you're going to want to save. Maybe you like the idea of the lumina moths, maybe you like the idea of the shadow striders, so you can put that into a separate document for you to create the next race in the same way for the next stage, and it can grow and grow and grow until you decide that that's enough for that particular area. And now we've done most of what we need to do to create a race of monster on the basic level. We're going to summarize everything, and this is the prompt that I would use to summarize everything so far. Summarize the key characteristics of the gloomling race, including their physical traits, culture, abilities, habitat, and interactions. Discuss how they could be integrated into a larger narrative, such as a fantasy novel or RPG setting. And it's going to come and it's going to give you a more breakdown of what it is without all of the information, but enough for you to remember what's there. And you can also use this to copy paste into the AI when you were talking about generating or creating the region of the gloomwood, for example. So it's got the physical traits, the culture, the abilities, the habitat, the interaction. And you can make this list as detailed as you want. You can change the actual prompt itself. So instead of having summarizing the key characteristics, summarize in detail the key characteristics. And you can add things in there like section titles, and then put brief summaries for each part, each physical trait, all those kinds of things. But it's come up with a really nice list. This is the kind of way I like to have it, so it's easier for me to read and easier for me to add it into the world that I'm creating. And then it will give you ideas of how you can integrate these gloomlings into your narrative. You can put them as antagonists, allies, a neutral faction, a playable race if you're making a game like an RPG or a tabletop or pen and paper or anything those ways. It can sort of give you ideas of how you can use this race you've just created to move it into your world itself. So for this next part, we're going to be using ChatGPT to generate a prompt that we can use in Leonardo AI. My favorite part of creating a monster or a species or anything like that is to give it some visual look, so you can really see, and if you really like what it actually looks like, what the AI would envision it to look like. Now I tried to do this in Gemini Advanced, but it kept just telling me the wrong thing. It kept coming up with, we cannot generate a image for you, and I tried a million different prompts. So this one we're going to be using ChatGPT 3.5. It's the free one, and it's going to come out with the information for us. So I put in the summary of what we created in Gemini Advanced, and at the bottom I wrote, with the information above, write me a text prompt that I can use in Leonardo AI. Now, daily, you can create very, very, very nice detailed images with Leonardo AI on the script you have. So here is the prompt that it came out. Create an image of a gloomling, a tall and thin creature with wiry but deceptively strong body. Their smooth obsidian-like skin absorbs light, giving them an almost invisible presence in darkness. They have large white pupil eyes, and it's given us all the information that we've got in, and it's given us a key elements to include and the style. So we're going to copy and paste that. We're going to go over to Leonardo AI. We're going to go up here and we're going to put into the AI image generation what we've actually put and all of the information in there. So we're going to turn on photoreal. I want to give it two choices to make two different images for me. We're going to have it at 16:9, but we're going to make it all the way as much as big as possible so we can really have it. And this is what I'm going to be using in the thumbnail itself. So we're going to put it down to 16:9. It's going to change all the settings needed there, and everything's going to be inside. Now we don't want it to be cinematic. I kind of want it to be, let's have a look what we have over here. Let's put it into creative. We're not going to have it as cinematic. We're going to do it as creative. So we're just going to generate two images based on what we've just done there. So let's create two images. We'll click generate one and we'll click generate again, and it's going to generate us two images. Let's see what it comes out with for our idea of a monster race. And it's usually pretty good. I've done a lot of creations of different things over here when I was thinking about design for World AI, etc, etc. So for the first two images, now this is where you have to sort of get into it. We have to pick it very specific. A race of, let's get rid of the terrain, because we've actually used it to create the terrain. It's created the terrain, but it didn't create the gloomling. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try and create the image itself for just the gloomling monster. So we're going to get rid of all the rest of it, and I'm actually going to be able to use one of these other backgrounds in the thumbnail itself. So it created what the gloom would have looked like, but now we're going to be wanting to create the race. Now I wish it did what it was supposed to do in the first go. Let's see if it's going to be able to generate us now an actual image of a gloomling by adding in the race of monster and just the description of the monster itself. I was being a little bit too, what's the word? I wanted more than I could get out of it, so I could try to do it in one image. Let's see how it comes out this time. And what it's come out, if I actually really like the look of that's actually amazing. I love that. So I would actually use that, and I'm going to use that in my novel series. I love the way that looks. That looks absolutely amazing. And it can kind of give the description that you've created bring it to life. And it's even got the similar trees in the background that it had previously. But this is just, I mean, I'm not even going to argue with that. Let's not argue with that. What we're going to do though right now is we're going to remove the background for the second image, which only takes 2 other tokens. Now, depending on what settings you have in Leonardo, it will allow you to use less tokens or more tokens, but you do get 150 tokens a day. So you can create a monster a day. You can create a landscape a day, you can create anything like that, and it will be able to generate images for you daily. So I'm actually, I can't even, I'm not going to argue with that. I really like that picture. So we're going to download that image, save that in there, and then you're going to go down here. Once you remove a background of something, so let's go to no background and see if it pops up, and it does no background there. We're going to download that one as well as a PNG, and then I'll create the thumbnail for that exact thing. And there we have it, ladies and gents. We created a race of monster for our novel series, our game series, RPG, manga, comic, whatever you like to do. You can use these prompts, which will be in the description for you, to create to sort of brainstorm. It's very basic to create and brainstorm a monster race for yourselves, and I hope this was able to help you guys. If you did enjoy the content, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for further videos. The next video, we will be creating an entire biome. Now I want to be able to create the gloomwood itself for these creatures to live in, so we will be doing the biome of the gloomwood in the next one, and how to refine that and create that and make that the way it is. So I hope to see you in the next video. I want to thank you all for watching. Take care.